It's so loud.
It's preparing. Let me know when you see it. It's always such a time delay.
That's we're live.
Yeah, I can see you.
Can you see us? Let me have a little look.
It's so loud.
I can see us. Let me just see if I can see myself on the channel. Let me know when you see it. It's always such a time delay. Right. So
That's we're live.
okay, I'm going to quiet that one. So what I have to do is pause.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Excellent. So Andy, you okay to share into the group for me? He's there. He's concentrating.
Yeah, I'm getting. It's because I had YouTube playing, so I could.
Yeah, so did I. Had two voices.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just sharing it to your group now, Nina.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. I'm just checking that we're on YouTube. Hello, gang. We've got 9 watching now, so people are starting to come in. I hope you guys can see this. We are live on YouTube, so if you have any live questions while we're here, please pop over to the YouTube channel to post so we can see them all. Andy's just going to keep an eye on it for me here, but I've also got an iPad so I can see any questions coming in. And this session will be available afterwards as well. As soon as it's finished, it will stay up on my YouTube channel so you can come back and rewatch at any point. 15 minutes. So say hello, let me know who's there, how you all are. And I'll just introduce my little gang, my team. I mean, most of you know them by now. I talk about them so much. So I've got on my view up here, I've got Maggie Robinson, who is my IPS guru, all things sales, actually, generally, more than just IPS, all things sales. So whenever we're chatting product sales pricing, I always quickly message Maggie and say, please come in, because she has wonderful words of wisdom. So Maggie's here. Hi, Anna. Hi, Amy. Hello. Then we've got Andy, as you guys know, is all things website, technical, analytics, Facebook ads, you name it. Hi, Lisa. Hi from France. Hope it's nice in France. It's pouring down in here. So Andy up here from Aperture Design. And then we've got Alex down here, who is from Digital Lab. Most of you guys know. He's in the group. I am a brand ambassador for Digital Lab, but worked with them for years before even becoming a brand ambassador. So as you know, I love them from a product point of view and the support that they supply to all of us. So Alex is here to talk product samples, etc., repeat business, all those kind of great things. Then we've got Karen and Gary. Now, the reason I brought Karen and Gary in, as these guys are really doing a great job with photographing their product sales, increasing their average sales. So we've got some examples to show you. We can talk about how they were shot. I think Gary had a video. Did you have a video, Gary, on how to photograph?
Yes, I did. Alex and I did a video where we recorded everything from setting up to styling to going through it all, shooting glass products or not shooting glass products, as the case might be. Those kind of things. So yeah, that's all available. And I think that's on your YouTube channel, isn't it, Alex?
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll pop the link in the comments at the end as well for people.
Perfect, excellent. Oh, just turn my volume down this. So the reason I've pulled these guys together is on my mentoring sessions, I'm having a lot of conversations at the moment about average sales, what's going to happen as we come out of this COVID period. It feels to me at the moment as if it's certainly starting to pick back up. I'm getting a lot more inquiries through the website to book. But realistically, it may take a while for the volume to get back to where we were as we come out of lockdown. I wouldn't expect it necessarily to pick back up immediately. So, I mean, wonderful if it does. Let's all be positive. Fingers crossed it does. But if it doesn't, one of the things that we can do and really lean on is increasing our average sales with products. And what I wanted just to say at the start of this isn't, and Maggie's brilliant at explaining this isn't a hard sell to your clients about you must purchase this and holding them to ransom. This is absolutely not what I'm talking about. This is about supporting them to get their products up on the wall. You guys know how excited you get when you get products delivered. I had these delivered from Digital Lab the other day. It's like Christmas when they arrive. So I want my clients to feel that way about my photography. So there's a marketing element to it as well. And we can use the product to market on our socials, on our website, which is what we're going to take you all through today. And to me as well, it's important to control the print. So I am, for those who know me, pedantic about white balance when it comes to shooting. it's really important that I see my prints and can pass them on to my clients in the standard and the way I wanted them to look in the first place. So for me, it's increased sales, of course, average sales, but it's also about a great client experience at the moment, and free marketing. When your product is up on the wall in their home and one of their friends see it, it's free marketing. So a lot of the discussion I've been having at the moment is how we drive product sales when we are online photographers, when we are predominantly digital, as well as IPS. And there's been a lot of discussion around print credit and how we can integrate that into our packages as a way to incentivize people to upgrade. So it might be a perfect time to me to swing over to Maggie now, and just to get her to go over her kind of thinking around this whole area and her strategy for print credit and upselling.
Right, so I've been doing print credit pretty much since the beginning. And it's always, for me, something that gives people the idea that they have the freedom to buy or not to buy. But if they do decide to have Wallart, they almost feel that they committed that money already to you. So they're not going to go elsewhere to spend it. So I give my clients £100 towards Wallart. And by Wallart, I mean literally anything that's on the wall. So canvases, frames, prints, acrylics, anything.
Yeah.
And obviously the markup's there already. So I have a markup on that product already plus £100, just to make sure that even with that voucher, you're still making a decent profit. But at the same time, from clients' perspective, they feel like they're saving money. Yeah, it ties them in. I give clients 30 days expiry date on those vouchers.
Okay.
Just because mostly when they come with families, when they come with little kids, and mostly photograph families, people change, especially babies change so much within 30 days that if they had 3 months to spend it, they would look at the same images thinking, you know, my kid doesn't look like this anymore. I don't want to hang that on the wall. So if you give them 30 days, it's almost like that tight period. And then you can call them on day 28, 29 saying, look, you've got another day. Have you decided on your images? If you don't sell at IPS, obviously, 90% of the time you do need to sell at IPS.
Do you give them a physical voucher out of interest?
Yes.
Ah, okay. And yeah, great. And it's funny you say that, because I was thinking the other day, one thing that I could add to my digital collections process is there's different ways to do it. I could have print credit in the basket of an online system, or I could reward people and create a physical voucher, which I could either send to them or PDF to them. It feels like there could be something in that at the moment. But it's interesting to give them an
There's a reason for it, because, you know, when people get the prints and they get the little, you know, USB pack, when you put that voucher in and it's a voucher that's fully wrapped, gift wrapped, it's almost like a little present to you.
Yeah.
When they go through prints, every time they open that, almost like it's like a beacon that reminds them, you know, you should be spending it. This is part of your package. If you send it as an email, people forget about it. So this is the reason why we love going to Paper Chase, because we like paper things, ribbon, boxed and pretties. You know, we're a visual medium, so we need to make it as an extension of our.
Yeah, it gives it like a physical value, doesn't it? A real value. I love that.
Really adds value to it.
Yeah, brilliant. And
almost adds to the value of the whole experience, you know, because it feels like, oh, she committed to investing in that packaging and things like this. So when you ask them then to spend £3,000 on products, they won't feel, oh my God, she's ripping me off, because the packaging is there, the boxing, the little, you know, elements that you add, little touches.
Yeah. And do you starting to see any value now in sharing in your marketing as well? So on your actual photography page, sharing the shots of your product, sharing you holding it, delivering them to clients, etc. Are you getting good traction and interaction?
You have to. This is the key to selling Wallart, because, for example, if anyone lands on my social media channels, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or my website, you cannot be confused thinking that I don't do Wallart. It works on both for both types of clients. So potential clients that haven't booked with me yet. So when they look at my social media channels, they assume, okay, people buy Wallart, so that's what I'm expected to do. So it's almost like a pre-expectation before they even book. It increases the value of your brand when they look at it, because they think people invest in Wallart, that needs to be something worthy of Wallart. But also for people who had a shoot and they didn't invest in Wallart yet, it's almost like a reminder in the newsfeed. Like, look, everyone's buying it, you should be buying it. So it's the keep up with the Joneses extension. We want what other people do and get. So if I show them what they buy, everyone else wants it as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And that leads perfectly actually into me talking to Alex, because Alex, they did a digital advert, like a lot of the other labs did, huge sample sale in January. Loads, I know a lot of you took advantage of it. So something I wanted to talk to Alex about is how we help convert this into business. And also, if you didn't order samples, they do offer a service where they can help you decide what would be best for your photography, studio tours, etc. So I'll hand over to Alex to talk to you a bit more about it.
That's right. Yeah, cheers. I mean, I'm going to have to stop speaking after Maggie on these lives because I've literally just scrapped half of what I was going to say there. Because we coordinate, it's all very slick. But no, absolutely right. I mean, the sample sale was huge, and we looked at it in a way of we all need to be getting ready for relaunching in the spring, fingers crossed, this April sort of thing. So it was a time to kind of get those new products up on walls, get stuff sorted along with your marketing, along with your sales strategy and stuff like that. So you're ready to hit the ground running, because like you say, the uptake's going to be quite slow initially with them. Although I'm getting messages daily from people saying they're having to close books on the first couple of months because there's so many people booking up. So that's very positive.
Yeah.
And I think the general consensus throughout the industry is that it's very positive because we've got that date to aim for now.
Yes.
Whereas before we were kind of all floating around and stuff. So what we did with the sample sale was a kind of a reaction to what we did the first lockdown. So when we came out the first lockdown, again, we did a sample sale to get people up and running again. And what we realized during the whole of last year was that we, photographers and labs, is, because it's symbiotic kind of thing.
Yeah.
We all had these gaps in our forecast because there was big chunks of the year where we couldn't trade. We couldn't, obviously, if you guys aren't shooting, we aren't printing anything. So we had to kind of try and find different ways in which we could generate those sales that people were missing out on, especially the November lockdown.
Yeah.
Because that is the golden goose of the year sort of thing for photography.
Totally.
Because you've got your Christmas minis, your Christmas shoots, people are buying wall art for gifts and presents for family and stuff like that. It's always the busiest time of year. And taking that entire month out of the equation was a bugger. So we kind of launched a campaign where we were encouraging photographers to retarget past customers from the past year and even the year previous.
Yeah.
With mock-ups and product images, and we did a lot of stuff with Pro Select and Fundy, if you remember, sending targeted image, mock-ups of black clients shoot. Look, you could have it in this. And with a similar sort of thing to what Maggie does with the print credit, I mean, you can build this into your pricing, so you're not actually losing any money, but you can see you've got £100 off this as a Christmas gift sort of thing. And that worked unbelievably well. I mean, we had so many photographers who were sort of making 4 or 5 product sales, because if they were doing it on Zoom, granny and granddad could join in, aunties and uncles and stuff like that. So they were buying from the same virtual in-person sales sessions. And I mean, we had our biggest November in 7 years. In lockdown, which is testament to the amount that photographers actually got out there, sold.
It did the work to pull the sales in. And actually, it's a really interesting point, because a lot of the people I mentor, we've been working on going back to their clients, exactly like you say, going back to their, particularly that we were selling digital collections, on the assumption you've made the profit you need to make from your complete digital collection. You can now go back and offer those clients a print credit to purchase wall art, and exactly the strategy Maggie just mentioned, that you still have built your profit in minus the £100 credit. So you could absolutely go back to people now and get a secondary sale, because they may have bought the digital collection, never got it up on the wall. Often happens with my clients, hence why I'm going to rework my strategy to include a print credit, because I want them to have product now as well. I want them to have
absolutely, because like what you said before, it's consistent marketing. So they're showing their friends, they're taking photos of it on their social media as well.
Yeah.
I mean, retargeting works. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's so much easier to sell it to a customer that knows and trusts you already, or hopefully trusts you.
Yeah.
And you've got that rapport with them, than going out finding new customers.
Finding new clients again, exactly.
And I mean, having something on your website like what Maggie talked about. So there's a static page with all your products, so they're aware of it right at the beginning of the process. So they land on your page.
Yeah.
And they know that you sell products, and it's expected. But you can use that with targeted email campaigns. You can plug it into things like Light Blue. So after a session, X amount of weeks afterwards, they're getting a promotional sort of email from you, or a PDF, or a link to a dynamic web page, which basically says you've got X amount of time. And I think Andy's done something brilliant to help with that as well, actually. and it's just perfect sales, and it's just continuing that along, because just because they've left on the day without buying anything doesn't mean that sales dead.
They're not going, yeah, exactly. And it's an actually great lead into what I want to talk to Karen and Gary about. So what we wanted to show you here was our thoughts on process. So let's work to the assumption you've ordered great samples from Digital Lab, or you're about in the process to. That's not the end of the process. We have these other elements that we need to put in place. If you're studio and doing IPS, following Maggie's strategy, if any of you guys haven't done Maggie's IPS training, she's your woman. But if you're digital and online, there's this process that we think you should follow that will really help. And the first part of that is actually photographing your frames. So I had these delivered here, so the acrylic in the wooden frame, and then this gorgeous copper frame. I left it to Digital Lab. This is what I often do when I'm looking for sample products, to their suggestion and what would look best. I send them the images and they tell me, they're like, I never would have picked that copper frame and it looks amazing. So use their expertise, guys, if you're thinking about getting samples. But I'm just going to share my screen and show you a couple of examples of stuff that we've shot. So I luckily have a giant tree stump right outside my house, bonus. So I took my frames out, the one of my kid and then the one of the dog, and photographed it in my style. So on my focal length with my editing, etc. What that means is it's obvious that it's not an off-the-shelf sample when I've just downloaded it into a PSD. It's obviously I have this. So people might say, can I see it in person? It might lead them to ask that question. It also has synergy on my feed. So I'm going to post this on my Insta feed tomorrow, and I'm going to share behind the scenes, final edit, and then the product. So it fits with the rest of my Instagram feed, which we know is becoming quite important. So these are the shots that I've done. One thing I will add that I haven't nailed yet, they've got no context of size at the moment, so I'm going to reshoot them with my kids holding them, because I don't think on the copper one you get any, because this tree stump is like 1.5 meters wide, because we've got giant trees on my road. You can't tell the context of the size, so I will get my kids to hold it when I photograph it outdoors. So that's just a little tip. But underneath here we've got Karen, so I'll just, if I share some of Karen's. Karen, would you mind just chatting about how you shot some of these and any top tips that you've got?
So this is taken in my studio, and I basically have just a set of shelves and some studio props of fake flowers and some nice smelly candles and stuff in the studio already. So the hardest thing for me was stopping the reflection on the surface. So that was really hard. So it took me a good half an hour to play around with my studio light. So it is lit with a big softbox, but trying to angle myself into such a position that I don't get the reflection on the glass. That was the hardest thing. So the softbox is way off to one side, and that's taken in my little tiny bathroom, so I'm actually stood on the toilet taking that. But you know, it looks quite cute because it's at the sink. So yeah. Cute. So it's in context with where people may put a picture, I guess, in their bathroom. So so these, my daughter has the most elegant hands. And so they're styled with bits and bobs from around the studio that I have already, that I try to pick out the colours in the prints in the actual items I included. So obviously I don't have an apple tree, but I have an apple and I have a bit of a fern and a bit of fabric that matched in with the image, and my daughter's hands to give it context, which is what Nina was struggling with your big frame, wasn't it? So having her hold on to it, it makes it realize it's not such a tiny weeny little print. It's a 6x9, I think. And again, that's a kind of it's a worn wood frame from Digital Lab. So I thought, I've got some shells. I'll use those. So it just kind of works, the colours team in, and you can imagine that on a wall somewhere, a lounge wall or something somewhere. So I was trying to give it scale by adding the items. That's why I put them in.
It totally works. And also, you're exactly right. You're tapping into what people have got in their homes to match, so it leads them into, I've got those in my house, or I've got something
Yeah.
in my house, and it makes them think, oh, that would look lovely in that space. It's making it much more real for people by shooting it. You've done a great job.
It's aspirational as well, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
they're going to want their homes to look like that and have their pictures of their kids or the pets or whatever, the family, looking that on their wall, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Pinterest. I love those kind.
Yeah, they look brilliant. It's and Gary, so
Yes.
video you did, and Karen's point about the reflection, right? This is me who doesn't know about this. Could you not use a polarizing filter to reduce the reflection, or does it not work?
You could do, and it should do if you're at the right angle, but you know what? There's an even easier way to do it.
Oh, what's that?
Even easier that we should have told Karen about and would have saved a loads of work. Simply set it all up, get as square as you can to the shot.
Yeah.
Photograph it.
Yeah.
Take it into Photoshop. Drop the image on top.
Drop the image on top. I knew you were going to say that.
Drop the image on top, and it will take you a second. Now, obviously, that's going to take a little bit more time. If you can get it right, get it right. But glass is a pain.
Yeah.
And the bigger the image, the more it's likely to have a slightly, because glass is fluid.
Yeah.
And even plexiglasses as well. It'll get a slight curve to it. So you'll always get some reflection. So the other way of doing it is just keep moving the right light a little bit and take 2 or 3 frames and composite it. But the fastest way, take it as square on as you can get it.
Yeah.
Drop the image on top, transform it to fit, job's done.
Genius. And actually, I was quite surprised. So I joked in the Digital Labs VIP group, Facebook group, that I was going to take this dog acrylic out to photograph. And they were like, are you nuts because of reflection? Weirdly, it was easier. I did shoot at the right time of day. So I shot literally just before 5 o'clock. But I was quite surprised. It was actually quite easy to shoot outdoors and not get a reflection, easier than inside, which was
even if that light's behind it or anything like that, and you're only dealing with reflected light, it should be nice and simple to do it outside. To be honest,
much easier.
Like the sky becomes a massive softbox, and when it's so big, you can't get a reflection because every angle is covered.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So when your light's so big, so that's actually an easy way. And also outside, you can shoot with a long lens.
That's exactly,
out of the reflection as such.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. So I shot it on my equivalent to 70 to 200. I think there's something important to be said about shooting it in your own style. And I did have a look around other people's websites. I'll come on to Andy in a second, and looked at some of the best examples. And I don't know if you guys know Jess Morgan. I think Jess is in the group actually. She has beautiful product photography on her website that matches her brand to perfection. So when I was looking for great examples, Jess is up there. If you look at how she films her albums, how she photographs her frames, it just fits beautifully. And she introduces her product really early into the process on her website. So that was just one of the really great examples I found. So go and check out Jess Morgan Photography. She does a brilliant job. But that takes me perfectly into Andy now, because if you guys remember on the last live, I think it was, we launched a downloadable Divi product page, which you could use, and attached all the PSD files to create your own product and everything, which went down really well. And we had a really good response to that. So what Andy tends to do is sit on those ideas and think, oh, I can do that even better. So he's kind of leveled it up to the next stage. He shared this with me a couple of days ago. It looks amazing, to the point of I love my product page, but now I'm going to actually get this one off Andy. So he's built something for Divi and Elementor as well, because I know you guys are on the Elementor. So I'll pass over to him to show it to all of you. You might want to share his screen, but I think it looks fantastic. So see what you think.
So I've actually built a couple of pages. So the page that Nina launched last time was like a product overview, where we had where went through a little bit of info and a starting price for lots of different products, but didn't go in depth as to what the options were. So I've created 2 pages that are now available to buy and download on my website. I'll put the link in the chat after we finish the live. So if I share the first one, so what I've created is, this is kind of a product showcase template, where rather than go through each product in a little bit, you can download this, install it on your website on either Divi or Elementor, and go through and populate it with the sample pictures you've taken and information about that specific product, showing them exactly why it's better than something you could buy on the high street. So whether it's about, I've put some examples of things you could talk about. So like the quality of the paper versus what you're going to buy on the high street, the version, the different options you've got for framing to suit their image and their house perfectly. And as you go, the importance of getting it the right size. And this is where you can talk about in the FAQs and things. So if as I scroll down, you've got the step about how it works. So talking through the ordering process from viewing their images, choosing the frame and choosing the right size. If you're using something, if you're doing this remotely and you're using something like ProSelect or Fundy, then what you can do is you can talk through the process by where they send you a picture of their own wall and you mock it up, showing how big a print they're going to need to really fill the space.
Yeah.
So you can talk through the whole process, why they might love that product, so the product highlights, and you would repeat this page for each of your main products that you wanted to push. Have them on your website, have these visible so people can browse them, but also when someone inquires and you reply, point them to these. Say, you know, these are some detailed information on the products that I sell, so that by the time they come to your shoot, they've already picked what their favorite product is. They know all about it, and they've already got in their mind what's going on their wall. And don't give them all the pricing. Tell them how much it starts from. You don't have to tell them how big that price is. Then by the time you've mocked it up on their wall and they know they need a 40-inch print, they've already in love with it, and you know you're going to have an easy sale.
Yeah, which so I think, Maggie, you talk a lot about that in your training, about introducing the product early into the conversation, isn't it? It's they understand from day dot that that's what they will also be offered, so there's no surprises.
And if you treat it as a process, you know, like the longer you spread that sale, the less work you've got at ideas, basically.
And while if you haven't got any samples, you know, mock-ups will do. Having images like Karen just showed of the actual products is so much more effective than just a digital mock-up, because you can see it's a mock-up. You know, it's not the same. You can't see the texture in the frame or the texture in the fine art paper. Like, you need images of the real products. People want to see the real thing.
Yeah.
Like we discussed earlier around building the pricing in, building some print credit in, there is other options for that. So for targeting previous clients, it might be that you've only just, like we've just had a chat now, maybe some of you are going to go away now and add print credit to your packages, but that's only going to be good for ongoing clients, and it's only good for that client making one purchase. What if we want to try and encourage people to make more than one purchase after the fact? So I've created a sales template that is around introducing a compelling offer so that people can get a bargain or a perceived bargain after they've already done their initial purchase. So you could send this to clients who you haven't seen for years, or you could send it to clients who it could form part of your workflow. So 3 months after a shoot, 6 months after a shoot, you send them this offer, and I'll share the page as how it works.
Yeah.
So,
and also just to say, so obviously the design looks great that Andy's done, but obviously anything built under Elementor and Divi can be completely manipulated to match your own branding.
And
there's
exactly,
no restrictions. So if you purchased it, you change the fonts, you change the colors, everything that you would need, the text, etc. So what you're buying is the structure and the thinking, and then you can adapt as needed.
And the way I've set them up, that you will need to manually change the colors, but it will automatically pick up the default font that you've got set for your theme.
Clever.
So it will automatically pick your header font and your body font up. And so obviously all of it's interchangeable, and I include instructions on how to do it. And I'm recording some videos later today of me going through setting it up on each one of them. So once you've bought it, you will then get an email with links to those videos showing you exactly how to set it up. So what I've done is,
you really leveled up here, didn't you? You took our idea and ran with it.
So on this one, so I've got a countdown here, showing how long they've got to claim the offer. A nice headline. Ideally, I would open it with a video. If you don't want to do a video, you can delete that and just put an image in. But if you place a video, these are clients who've already met you. If you create a video of you explaining the offer and showing the wall art they could have, that's much more much more impactful than just.
And you know why as well? That's particularly, it's a very good point, Andy. If you look at how we're consuming marketing now with Instagram Reels and Stories, anything that I find my traction on, anything where I appear, despite not wanting to be on camera all the time, not going to lie, the traction I get on anything where I do speak and it's really behind the scenes, or it's talking about something I'm passionate about, gets a lot more traction, and people are
you know what,
it now.
It doesn't have to be professionally produced. It can be a video from your phone. You can just be talking into your phone and showing the products and explaining the offer.
Yeah.
So as we scroll down, we've got a bit about the problem that they've got. They want some images. They're just a bit maybe they're overwhelmed when it comes to making a choice. And make sure they know you're telling them how easy you're going to make it for them.
Yep.
Talk through the process about choosing their images, about mocking it up on their wall, especially if you've got Fundy or Pro Select.
Yeah.
It's surprising if you're not doing IPS and you're not using something to mock it up in real size on their wall, people will think like, oh, a 16-inch frame print will do on that wall.
Yeah.
And then they put it on the wall and it looks tiny. So if you can mock it up in real size, what you'll find that massively upsells bigger sizes.
Yeah.
Maggie, so when you've got the sale.
What's your most popular size out of interest?
30 by 40 and 24 by 36, depending on the ratio.
Yeah, there you go. It's yeah, exactly, spot on. You put it in context of the room.
And I imagine in IPS, it's a lot easier to get these. If you do an IPS, it's probably a lot easier to do bigger sales because people can see exactly how big it is and they know what space they've got. If you're doing it without doing IPS, then having some software that lets you put it in real size on their wall is invaluable.
Yeah.
So then just the pro, obviously this is all editable, so you can change it to match your process.
Yep.
And then we give them some headlines and why they might want it. And then we come to the offer. So what you can do is, now you've got to remember, normally you might not want to give money off. You might factor this into your pricing. Like Maggie said, you've already factored in the discounts, but also it can be a genuine discount because otherwise these people might never buy from you again. They might come back for another shoot down the line, but you've already done the shoot. You've already sold your initial products. This is all extra money from the same shoot.
Yeah.
So you can offer some options, show them the product, the actual product, to tell them a bit about the product, show them how much discount they're getting, show them the original price and the reduced price.
Yeah.
Give them an option of, you don't have to give them an option, you don't have to show them your full catalog, show them 2 or 3 products that you want them to buy.
Yeah.
And then you can take it a next step up where you can offer them additional freebies. So for example, I mean, obviously these are all editable. What about a free desk frame with every frame over 30 inch?
And I think actually anything that you could gift to grandparents in the current climate, that would be really valuable to me, that I would order a print and I would have a smaller version to gift to my parents. Yeah. That would really work for me at the moment. So those
or an additional discount if you buy multiple products.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, you can change these to what suits your business, but the idea is this wouldn't be on your website. This is sent directly to your customers, your previous customers, X months after they've done the shoot. You've then got a little FAQ, which you can either delete or keep, reiterate the time, how long they've got to claim it, and then just a contact form for them to get in touch and start. Obviously, drop your own contact form in here.
This is great. This could work for wedding clients, newborn. This could work for any. You could go back and offer albums. It's
the only things you have to remember with Elemental. This is what's called an evergreen timer. Every time someone visits this page that hasn't visited it before, it will start from 2 days. Whereas on Divi you have to change the date manually, so you'd have to have it in your process where X number of months you move the date on and then you send it to your clients.
And how much is if somebody wants to buy these?
They're launching at £39 for both templates, and they're downloadable from the website, but there's a 15% discount code for your clients, Nina. If anyone uses the discount code NinaMace15, they can get 15% off until Tuesday.
Amazing. Do you know what? I'm going to buy it, Andy, just because it saves me time building it myself. It's just time, isn't it? And also understanding the nuances of, I mean, I use Divi quite well, but often have to Andy, I'm stuck with this, that, and the other. It just means I can slot it in and then adapt it myself. So, I think it's brilliant. And right, that's brilliant. I'm just going to, I can see lots of questions popping up here. So I'm just going to check in and let's see what everybody asks. So, a question from David, Lewison Photography. What's the group's thoughts on having the same photograph in your samples? This would then direct the client to the product as opposed to the image. That's a really interesting question. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
So the same image in
multiple... all the different samples.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that's probably one for Alex, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think me and Maggie have spoke about this on another live actually. I personally wouldn't, because you want to show off all the different types of photography that you do within your samples. So if you have that in a studio setting, if you do an IPS, obviously wall space is a premium and you can do it that way. If you were doing it digitally, yeah, but again, what we're talking about here, photographing your own samples and putting your own stamp on it, you're photographing the products that you have, and again, it's a digital version of your wall. So you want to be able to show all the different types of photography that you want. So, you know, like you would get them in a newborn, you want them to see a sitter in a family shoot and stuff like that, so you can keep that customer on the journey.
Yeah.
For me, I would say a no as well, simply because you should be picking the product that goes with the style of imagery that you're taking.
Yeah,
So,
which kind of leans towards these samples that I got, that
yeah,
they're very
exactly.
different.
So if you're doing a, you know, stylized fine art style,
yeah,
then that perhaps isn't going to suit a very modern acrylic.
Yeah,
For certain things, but you want it in a fine art, you know, fine art natural or something like that, or one of the classical frames.
Yeah.
So I think there you could get a little bit of confusion for your customer if you did that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a great question though, David, and this is where I use Digital Lab. This is why I love working for them, because these guys are in a position that they're able to support, and in their groups, a great example. They have a huge amount of options of frames, let's be honest. They have everything from basic to ultra premium. How I use them is say, these are probably my biggest selling images. What would you guys match? And they always get it right. Whatever they send me, I'm like, yeah. And I wouldn't necessarily, but obviously they're in the lab every day seeing the product. They know it off by heart. So if you're not sure, I would go to them for advice, because they're really, really helpful when it comes to.
I don't, one of my samples for like, I don't like acrylics by a rule, and my favorite sample is an acrylic.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Because it perfectly suits the image, and it's just like, no, wow, that's absolutely.
I'm exactly the same for my samples. I send the pictures to Alex, and he comes back with the right answers.
Yeah, yeah.
Easier.
I mean, it's obviously because we, you know, we're all guilty of being sort of, in a nice way, having our heads up our own butts sort of thing within the industry, and expecting everybody else to be on the same page, where, you know, I'm dealing with all the sort of product development and stuff like that, so I know it inside out. You going down to your customers, they're not going to know about this. So on these product pages and stuff we're talking about, it boils down to that as well. You need to get as much education across to your customer and inform them about the product, so they can make that decision, so they're not going to go to Snappy Snaps or Tesco or something, because if you position yourself as the photographer, as the expert, that they are coming to you because you've sourced these perfect products and stuff. Yeah, and it's all part of the experience, and it's all part of them putting their trust in you and you being able to charge what you need to charge for it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like what you said before, if people aren't sure and stuff like that as well, if they want to book onto a Zoom chat, we do that now, where we can sort of pair up images and look at different products with different styles and stuff like that. Yeah. That's no problem. And actually, sorry, just another plug. On the back of Gary's video, we did have that competition as well, where it's more about getting yourself sorted before the relaunch, but also getting yourself back in the studio and something to do during this next sort of dead month kind of thing.
Yeah.
Photographing your products. We've got a competition for the most innovative and beautiful product photography. Ooh. Where you're going to win a 36-inch product choice from ourselves, and also one of Andy's amazing templates as well. So I'll drop the
drop the link in as well. Perfect. And then Ashley, not a silly question at all. She's put, are we better off going for non-reflective glass? Does it exist? Yes, it does, Ashley. This down here is the non-reflective glass. So you can see the difference because they're in the same light. You can see the acrylic, the reflection on the acrylic. And then this is the non-reflective down here. But how popular is the non-reflective, Alex? Oh,
it's it's a funny one because no, I've got some sort of delay. The internet connection's really bad.
Like it's ignoring me. Crap question, Nina.
It was that thing where they said like pause for 3 seconds before answering anyone because it makes you seem more intelligent. No, it's a sort of a toss up, because with the non-reflective acrylic you can't have a double cut mount because the nature of the surface of the acrylic is stimpled. So if you push that further away from the print, it frosts. You can get art glass, and we're adding art glass as a standard upgrade option on the frames later next month. It's part of, we've just done all the upgrades to the multi-apertures and stuff. It's a new process where we'll have fine art options on all the frames, and we'll have art glass as an option. And I know other labs do as well, because it is a premium product and it does cost a lot more money, but the difference is stunning, So I think it's the double cut mount does add a lot to the print. If you want to go for that, then if you want completely non-reflective or as close to, then art glass is probably your best bet. But I mean, customers are used to it. Glass is reflective, acrylic's reflective. It's not something that's going to put somebody off a sale, because it's how things have been framed for hundreds of years,
Yeah, true.
Can I just say, because I've got a lot of opinions on art glass.
Yeah, do.
Those who speak to me, I always say with people when they come to you, we are supposed to be the professionals and the best option for any product. So the best version of it. If they could, they can do it themselves, do it cheaper. So I do art glass with every single framed print, just because they're supposed to be premium, they're coming to me. But if you want to save money, just as a tip, depending on what you photograph, if it's a dark image, definitely art glass, because it does show. If it's a white image, like Susie Mitchell's, it doesn't actually make that much difference. Realistically, clients won't see the difference, and the price difference is quite significant. So I would say with dark images, if you're premium studio, premium service, definitely art glass. With lighter, you can wing it.
That's a brilliant tip. Really good, really useful. Right, Magda Bright just asked about the page from Andy. Don't worry, Magda, I'll get Andy to add it all into the comments for you and pop it in my Facebook group. Tiana says she's buying it now, Andy. As we speak. Andy, would the template work with a theme?
With themex? No, so I'll be launching it in the next couple of weeks, just using the Gutenberg builder, which will work on any WordPress theme, but it won't be as dynamic. You can't have any animation on the basic WordPress on Gutenberg, but I can still have the same. You'll still have the same layout, and that'll work with literally any WordPress theme then.
Perfect. Nina, quick question for Karen. What is that black frame that you have in your bathroom? Thank you.
It's a thin aluminium, isn't it, Alex? Alex, you know what it is.
Yes, it's one of our metal frames, so it's an aluminium. It's Florentine black.
Yes, I like the Florentine gold one. I've got one of those. It's one of my favourite frames. It's so nice. That's personally what I will put up in my house, is the Florentine gold. So really nice. And then Magda, working with the Wix template. I'm afraid not, Magda. It wouldn't work with Wix, but it might be worth. Well, it may be worth you linking to my blog post with the old version, even though it's Divi. All of the content, the wording, and the Photoshop images and everything, you can just download in one hit from my Dropbox. So you can then use that to create your own page in Wix. Alicia's just bought it. And with the template work with basic WordPress, Andy, like you just mentioned, he's developing the Gutenberg version at the moment. So I hope if there's any other questions or any, thank you for coming on so much. We hope that's been of use to you. The idea was just to chat through. I think the overarching theme from all of us is we have a bit of time at the moment before we're fully back working. Take advantage of the samples if you've already ordered them, get them out to photograph, then enter Alex's competition and hope you win a free frame. Photograph them in your style, get them up on the website, start communicating across your social medias, start sharing the frames, showing those gorgeous images that you've taken, bed it into your website for any new clients coming forwards. And then also you can then go back and look at repeat business from any of your current clients. If you're not sure about pricing, etc., Maggie's your woman. Head over her. She has lots of IPS training options. If you're not sure about samples and products, go chat to Alex. And then if you have any more specific questions about website or anything, Andy is your guy. So I hope that's been useful. Thanks everybody for dialing in, much appreciated. It'll stay now live on YouTube, and we will come back to you soon with another little group chat with another subject. So thanks everybody, thanks for coming on.